Do you want to go with your 2-unit player? Or you want me to go?
Oh, snake
now
draft?
We're kind of in a weird.
Sure, I'll go.
All right, go ahead.
I'll continue on with some bad football.
Yeah. All right,
because I'm going another route here. All right. So speaking of bad football, I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns this week.
This is getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
I've made that a New Year's resolution.
There you go.
The Browns getting 3 points at Washington. This is. I'm gonna jump in front of the Jayden Daniels train. If I get run over, I get run over. But I'm looking for a spot to fade him now after what we've seen. And I love Jayden Daniels. I think he's, as we've said, he's a stud. Like, I think long term he's a franchise quarterback. He's shown that. He might already be definitely probably a top 10 quarterback. Or working his way in. I mean, the sample size is small, but whatever. It's neither here nor there.
That's fair.
You're still going to get the normal rookie quarterback volatility, though. This is clearly the best defense he's faced.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't even think it's a question.
And even though they're not that good.
They've regressed pretty substantially since last season.
Kind of living off the reputation of the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
But they're still,
But they're like, so instead of like a top, but last year they were a top 3 defense probably. This year I'd say they're more like a top 10-ish defense. But relative to what Daniels and Washington has faced at this point, just looking at like drop back success rate through the first 4 weeks, the teams they faced: Tampa Bay 25th, Giants 17th, Cincinnati 26th, Arizona dead last. Last 2 weeks with Cincinnati and Arizona have been especially favorable because neither of those teams rush the passer. You get Cleveland this week, 3rd in pass rush win rate, 2nd in run stop win rate. There's just going to be a lot of resistance from that D, I think. Like I said, I want a spot to fade them at some point. This feels like it's it. And if there was ever a spot for Cleveland's offense to get right, I mean, Washington's defense stinks.
so bad.
Last in EPA per play, 31st in success rate. More importantly, they don't rush the passer. So the knock with Deshaun Watson has just been his inability to overcome pressure. So I think no matter how you look at this has prime upset potential. And I think just, kind of playing into the perception of these two teams, I'll take Cleveland getting the points. I think there's a chance this gets up to 3.5, or it might have been at 3.5.
It's one of those ones where you look at the numbers and you're just like, this feels like the place to. Let me just circle this and talk myself into it because everybody's going to be on one side of this. And
quick side story about the Browns.
Okay, sure.
From last week. So that Cleveland-Vegas game, the total closed at 36.5.
Yeah.
I took the over.
Oh.
Final was 20-16.
Yep.
Because of a Dustin Hopkins missed PAT, followed by a touchdown getting wiped off the board.
Now, walk me through your process here. How did you land on that game? It just seems like a random total to be on. Are you just a degenerate more than you let on?
It could be the case. Yeah, more so than anything.
That's fair. Like I also had the under in the game.
No, I don't know. I thought it was just a low. I thought it was a low total. Like I think those two offenses, Vegas and Cleveland, are bad, but I don't think they're so bad that the range of 35.5, 36. Yeah. Like I'm reserving that.
This is what happens though when you.
I'm reserving that for the New Englands of the world, and I don't know that either of those teams is there.
Sure, fair. Speaking of one of those teams, I'm fading the Raiders this week. They are on the road at Denver taking on the Broncos. I got the Broncos. Maybe fudge the numbers a little bit. Laying 2.5. I think it's probably up to 3 in most spots. But hey, you
sure.
grab what you can when you got it. I think this is is Antonio Pierce a good coach? First of all, he's had a real weird week. I think out of nowhere he just kind of pissed off Davante Adams by liking a thing on social media that suggested they should trade him. And I think I read an ESPN story that he is through back channels said it was a mistake, which is a whoops.
Here's my thing with him. I think he's a guy that has the potential to let emotions get the best of him.
Yeah.
And that will ultimately be I think that plays in some scenarios. Like you might get a jolt here and there, but long term, I don't know how sustainable it is.
So like, I tend to agree with that. Maybe that's a bad reason, or maybe that points to them this week. But I think if there's not that there, maybe it's they trade Davante Adams while we're having this conversation, and you can turn around and say, like, we got rid of that guy, well, let's go to war. I think there's just too much stuff circling around them with the Davante Adams situation. If that's the case, if this is just going to be a football game on Sunday in which Adams may or may not play, depending on his hamstring, depending on his trade status, they are shorthanded. I think Sean Payton, as much as I dislike him, is a much better head coach, much more established head coach. We're getting into Sean Payton time of the year. I thought this was a kind of a wild note from Action Network. In the first 2 weeks of the season, actually, I miswrote it, so I don't know. He was not 12-2 for his career.
Scrap that.
Maybe 12-22. But in weeks 3 and 4, he's 24-9-1 ATS. That's something that we've talked about over the years, about how bad the Saints were earlier in the season. And he's a guy who kind of figures out, or the market kind of over adjusts to what they think they see from his teams, and there's value there. Whatever, that's just kind of a trend that I liked. I do think, more importantly, Denver has by far the best unit on the field. The Vance Joseph defense has been awesome. They are 5th in DVOA, 3rd in EPA. Allowed, first in limiting explosive plays. I don't care what the Raiders did last week with like their running game. I don't think they're going to be able to do that this week against the Broncos. If they can't do that, they're in trouble. The Broncos offense leaves a lot to be desired. I know that Bo Nix thing was going around where he was.
The stats from that game were awesome.
What was he, like 5 of 7
There's
for
so many good
negative
ones.
9 yards or something like that?
I saw like a receiver stat that it was like any receiver other than Cortland Sutton, they had like 9 catches on 16 targets for 0 yards or something like that.
Good.
Like the whatever, I don't know the specific numbers, but it was a high number of both catches and targets relative to the yards.
I think this was at halftime.
It was a goose egg.
Bo Nix was 5 of 9 for -9 yards, which I don't even know how you do that, to be honest with you. But I think the Jets defense is at least far more talented. It was raining. There's a lot of ways you can excuse that away. I think Denver gets back. It's like a baseline floor game for them.
That was one of my picks last week, was the under in that game. And I woke up and I saw the weather that was happening there, and then when they cut to the game, I was like, oh, I like this even more.
Yeah,
this is nice.
I mean, it was a
I didn't even factor in the conditions and one big weather guy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's
I should have known.
It's getting to be weather season. These October rains. So I think that's where I'm at. Davante Adams, we should hit on that real quick. BetMGM, just only in Ontario, but it's kind of a market type thing, just an interesting thing to kind of kick around. According to John Ewing, who's a BetMGM PR guy, the Jets are the favorites to land Davante Adams at -150. Saints 3-1, Commanders 5-1, Steelers 11-1. Cowboys 18, 49ers 18, Bills 20. Diana Rossini, who I believe is with The Athletic now, was reporting that the feeling around the league is that the Jets will get this done and he'll be reunited with Aaron Rodgers. Is that your prediction for where he ends up?
That's probably where he ends up.
Where do you want to see him land?
Detroit.
Okay. Well,
where is that on the list?
They're not on there. That's where I stopped the list at. So that would be very interesting. I don't think they can afford it. I think they have to. I think I read somewhere they have to wait.
I think they have. Oh, maybe they
have to wait till because it goes down by like $700,000-$900,000 every week.
Yeah.
And so if they get closer to the deadline, they can afford it. But right now they can't. I could be wrong. But.
It's one thing. I don't know. You know how it's just hard to picture certain things. Like I don't know how that. I can't picture it. But I think it makes sense.
It would be
if they're able to do it financially, which I thought I saw that they did have the cap space to pull it off, but I don't know
dueling thoughts.
All of the ramifications. But there's a time earlier this year when Amon-Ra St. Brown went down. I don't know, his ankle or something. Yeah. But when you saw that, losing a star player sucks. But with the depth they have behind him, that could have been season ender right there. We want blue there for a second. Blue screen.
Season ending.
The depth they have in that wide receiver room leaves a bit to be desired beyond him. I think you add a guy like Adams to that offense for a team that's clearly all in this year. in an NFC feels pretty wide open. Like, I don't know. As far as like long shots go, that's the one team that fascinates me the most.
DraftKings updated odds 25-1 for the Lions. So one team, the team
They're shortening. Get in there now. While you still can.
I want to see is Washington.
Yeah, that'd be fun too.
It'd be a lot of fun with him and Jayden Daniels. So that's.
Yeah, I just hope it's not the Jets, because I feel like it's felt inevitable for months.
I love Davante Adams. The guy, nobody's had like a more charmed career.
That's true,
despite like not actually doing anything. It's just like I want to go, because now he's like he wants to go play for maybe New Orleans. He wants to go play with his buddy. It's just like he's gotten everything he's wanted to this point in his career. It's kind of interesting. All right, what you want you to play?
I always got to laugh about like him hitching his wagons to Derek Carr, but you can't really fault. You can't say much about Derek Carr the way he's been playing this year.
It would be funny to see him go there and struggle, though, or them to struggle.
He gets there just in time for their collapse.
Yep.